The galaxy had known peace for 300 years. The Galactic Council maintained order through treaties and diplomacy. They believed that civilization had evolved beyond the need for vengeance. They were wrong. Councillor Vexenar stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species. His tentacles trembled as he displayed the holographic recordings. The images showed a human colony world called New Eden. It had been a peaceful farming settlement. 12 million humans had lived there. Simple families, children, elderly people who had retired to grow crops under alien suns. The Krathvex Syndicate had changed everything. The recordings showed their warships descending through the clouds. The Krathvex were mercenaries. They sold their violence to the highest bidder. For centuries, they had operated in the lawless regions of the galaxy. They were feared for their cruelty. They were known for taking prisoners and selling them as slaves. But New Eden had been different. The Krathvex had received a contract from a rival corporation. They wanted the farming world eliminated. They wanted to send a message to human expansion. So the Krathvex came with 30 warships and 10,000 soldiers. They burned the cities. They destroyed the hospitals. They targeted the schools where children were learning their lessons. 12 million humans died in 7 days. The recordings showed families running through burning streets. They showed parents shielding their children with their own bodies. They showed old farmers standing against plasma rifles with nothing but their farming tools. They died. Every single one of them died. The Krathvex did not take prisoners this time. They took trophies. Councillor Vexenar paused the recording. The council chamber was silent. Many species looked uncomfortable. The Krathvex had operated for centuries. Many council races had secretly hired them for dirty work. Nobody wanted to admit their connection to these monsters. But then the recording continued. It showed the aftermath. It showed the Krathvex leaders celebrating on the burned surface of New Eden. They laughed and drank and took pictures with the bodies of human children. They uploaded these images to the Galactic Network. They wanted everyone to see. They wanted to prove that humans could be broken like any other species. The Krathvex High Commander stood before the cameras. His scaled face twisted into what his species considered a smile. He spoke directly to humanity. Your expansion ends here. Your dreams of empire are finished. We have shown the galaxy that humans bleed like everyone else. We have shown that you can be exterminated like pests. Any human world that defies this message will share the fate of New Eden. The recording ended. Councillor Vexenar turned to face the assembly. This happened 6 months ago. The Krathvex Syndicate continued operating as normal. They believed they were untouchable. They believed that humanity would petition this council for justice. They expected humans to file complaints and request sanctions. He paused. His voice became quiet. Humanity did not petition this council. The chamber displays flickered to life again. New recordings appeared. These came from Krathvex surveillance systems. They showed the first contact with human forces 3 months after New Eden. A Krathvex patrol squadron was traveling through neutral space. 7 ships carrying supplies and soldiers. Standard operations. Nothing unusual. Then the humans arrived. The recording showed the jump signatures first. Massive energy spikes that made the Krathvex sensors scream warnings. Then the ships materialized from faster-than-light travel. Not 1 ship, not 10 ships. 417 warships of the Terran Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. The largest vessel was a dreadnought called New Eden's Memory. The Krathvex commander barely had time to issue a surrender signal. The human response was simple. A single transmission on all frequencies. We do not accept your surrender. The battle lasted 14 seconds. The Krathvex ships were reduced to atoms. Every escape pod was targeted. Every debris field was scanned for survivors. There were none. The recordings continued. They showed the human fleet dividing into hunting groups. Each group targeted Krathvex installations throughout the galaxy. They moved with purpose and precision. They had spent 3 months gathering intelligence. They knew every Krathvex base. They knew every hidden outpost. They knew the location of every ship and every soldier. The humans had not been mourning during those 3 months. They had been planning. Council of Vexenar showed recording after recording. Krathvex fortress worlds burned from orbital bombardment. Krathvex fleets were caught and destroyed before they could escape to hyperspace. Supply lines were cut. Communication networks were jammed. The Krathvex found themselves isolated and hunted across the entire galaxy. The human military doctrine became terrifyingly clear. They were not fighting a war. They were conducting an extermination. Every species in the council chamber watched in horrified silence. They had always considered humans to be relatively peaceful. Humans traded goods. Humans built colonies. Humans participated in cultural exchanges. They seemed so friendly, so reasonable. Nobody had expected this. The recordings showed human marines boarding Krathvex stations. They moved through corridors with mechanical efficiency. They checked every room. They scanned every container. They left no survivors. When they found evidence of slaves from other species, they freed them. When they found Krathvex, they killed them. One recording showed a Krathvex captain on his knees. He was begging for mercy. He offered information about other criminals. He offered to reveal who had paid for the New Eden contract. He offered everything he had. The human commander looked at him with cold eyes. Your people photographed themselves with the bodies of our children. Your high commander called us pests to be exterminated. You have no information we do not already possess. You have nothing we want. The recording ended there. Nobody needed to see what happened next. Council of Vexenar showed the galactic map. Krathvex territory was marked in red. Month by month, the red disappeared. Human forces swept through every system the Krathvex had ever touched. They destroyed shipyards. They demolished factories. They captured and tried war criminals in quick military tribunals. The trials were broadcast throughout the galaxy. Every Krathvex soldier who had participated in New Eden was identified through genetic records. They were found guilty. They were executed. The process was efficient and thorough. Some Krathvex tried to hide among other species. They changed their appearance. They altered their genetic signatures. They fled to the most remote corners of the galaxy. The humans found them anyway. Council of Vexenar showed intercepted communications from Krathvex leadership during their final days. Their voices were filled with terror. They could not understand what was happening. They had attacked hundreds of species over the centuries. Nobody had ever responded like this. Other species filed complaints. Other species requested council intervention. Other species accepted reparations and moved on. Humans did not move on. The final recording came from the Krathvex homeworld. It showed their planetary defense grid activating as human ships filled the sky. It showed their population fleeing underground. It showed their high commander trying to contact any species that would listen. He offered to surrender unconditionally. He offered to pay any price for peace. The human admiral appeared on screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She looked like someone's grandmother. Her voice was gentle when she spoke. You recorded yourselves celebrating over the bodies of 12 million of our people. You laughed while our children burned. You called us pests. She paused. There will be no surrender. There will be no negotiation. There will be no survivors. Your species chose extinction when you touched New Eden. We are simply delivering what you earned. The Krathvex homeworld was not bombarded. The humans landed soldiers. They went door to door. They checked every hiding place. They were thorough in ways that made other species uncomfortable to discuss. It took 2 weeks. The Krathvex ceased to exist as a species. Their genetic samples were destroyed. Their cultural artifacts were burned. Their historical records were erased. The humans did not just want them dead. They wanted them forgotten. Councillor Vexenar turned off the displays. The council chamber remained silent. The Krathvex Syndicate operated for 700 years, he said. They terrorized countless worlds. They sold millions of beings into slavery. They murdered without conscience. Many of us secretly hired them when we needed violence without responsibility. He looked around the chamber. Many representatives could not meet his eyes. In 6 months, humanity erased them from existence. Every ship, every soldier, every civilian, every child. He let that sink in. The humans killed Krathvex children. They killed their elderly. They killed everyone. They did exactly what the Krathvex did to New Eden. Eye for eye. Species for species. The Tovaxi representative raised a tentacle. This is genocide. Surely the council must condemn such actions. Councillor Vexenar laughed. It was not a happy sound. Condemn them? The corporation that paid for the New Eden attack has already surrendered its leadership for trial. Every criminal organization in the galaxy has announced that they will never accept contracts against human interests. The slave trade has collapsed because nobody wants to risk human retaliation. He pulled up new statistics. Piracy against human vessels has decreased by 98%. Attacks on human colonies have stopped completely. Human merchant ships travel without escort because everyone knows what happens to those who harm them. The chamber was silent. The humans have created peace through terror, Councillor Vexenar continued. They have demonstrated that harming their people means total annihilation. Not war, not conflict, extinction. And now every species in this galaxy is asking themselves one question. He looked around the room. What else have we done that humans might not forgive? Several representatives shifted uncomfortably. There had been incidents over the centuries. Trade disputes, border conflicts, actions that seemed minor at the time. Now those actions felt very different. The human ambassador rose from her seat. She was a young woman with dark skin and bright eyes. She smiled at the assembly. It was a warm smile, friendly, approachable. The Terran Empire wants peace, she said. Her voice was calm and pleasant. We want trade and cooperation. We want cultural exchange and scientific collaboration. We have no desire for conflict with any of the species represented here today. She paused. But we want everyone to understand something. New Eden was not an isolated response. It was a statement of policy. Attack our people, and we will respond with everything we have. Harm our children, and your species will cease to exist. This is not a threat. This is a promise. This is what we are. She sat down. The council chamber was completely silent. Councillor Vexenar closed the session. Representatives left quickly. They did not make eye contact with the human ambassador. They did not stop to talk. They had much to discuss with their governments. The galaxy had changed. The rules everyone understood had been rewritten. Violence had always been part of galactic politics. But nobody had ever responded to violence the way humans did. Nobody had ever been willing to commit complete extermination as a matter of policy. The humans had revealed something about themselves that day. They were not the friendly traders everyone had assumed. They were not peaceful colonists expanding slowly through the stars. They were predators who had chosen to wear the mask of civilization. And when someone hurt their people, the mask came off. In the months that followed, human colonies expanded without resistance. Human ships traveled freely. Human merchants found that deals were offered without negotiation. Everyone wanted to be friends with humanity. Everyone wanted to make sure there were no misunderstandings. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about humans. They could be the best friends anyone ever had. They could be generous and kind and helpful. They built hospitals on alien worlds. They shared technology freely. They welcomed everyone to their celebrations. But they could also be something else entirely. Somewhere in the void, the wreckage of the Krathvex homeworld drifted silently. No memorials marked their passing. No historians recorded their culture. They had been erased so completely that future generations would barely know they existed. This was the price of touching human children. This was the lesson the galaxy would never forget.